Greetings. Welcome to the Dr. J Vlog series. It's Tuesday, February 4th, 2025, which means we're covering music and the arts. Last week, some of you may recall on a vlog that I talked about the one album that I would choose if I were stranded on the proverbial desert island, and that would be Dan Fogelberg's The Innocent Age. If, however, the choice for just one song that you could bring along with you, I'd choose something different, a specific version of Whiter Shade of Pale. So Whiter Shade of Pale was written and released by members of the rock band Procol Harum back in May of 1967, and the song reached number one the following month and remained in the number one spot for 6 weeks in the UK. In the United States, the song peaked at number 5 on the US Hot 100, the same week, by the way, that the Doors were at number 1 with their classic Light My Fire. So there are more than 1,000 cover versions of the song by a great many artists who obviously admire the song tremendously as well. So the lyrics are mainly the work of Keith Reid. The melody was composed by Gary Brooker, who also sings the lead vocals. And then the lovely, incomparable Hammond organ piece was composed and performed on the original by Matthew Fisher. So now the version of the song that I'd want to bring along with me onto the desert island would be the Procol Harum version that was performed live in Denmark back in 2006. So the group performed an entire concert with a show entitled In Concert with the Danish National Orchestra and Choir. And that was then released as a live album in 2009. Now, for those who haven't yet seen the music video, and of course many of you have, since apparently there are 108 million views as of today, but I'll mention at the outset that the song starts with a special orchestral arrangement, a prelude, that sets this incredibly evocative tone and mood that leads into the opening piano and the lead vocals by the aforementioned Gary Brooker. Now, Brooker's vocals throughout the concert, and in this particular song, as you'll hear, were at their absolute peak for this performance, despite, or perhaps because, of his advanced age of 61. There's not a more soulful or expressive version that I've ever heard of the song. And that includes, by the way, a cover version by the incomparable Annie Lennox, who's just an amazing performer and has incredible vocals as well. But it's this particular live version that I'd want to bring with me onto the desert island. And it's also my first entry into a series that I'm calling Peak Performances. So these are analysis videos of live performances that demonstrate artists at the absolute peak of their abilities. Okay? Sublime performances either of their original songs themselves or in some instances cover versions of other people's music. Okay, so here's peak performance number 1 in this new series by Procol Harum with Gary Brooker on the lead vocals. And we're going to start at the beginning before we start to break down the song periodically thereafter. Okay, so that's the prelude, obviously, to the main song. The incredible arrangement, the string arrangement by the Danish National Orchestra, the incomparable clarinet solo that you hear over top of the music there. It's just so hauntingly beautiful, and it draws you into the fullness of the song. And there's a slight crescendo and build up, and then a gentle sort of fading away of the strings to bring us to the main meal. So let's get into that now, shall we?
We skip the light and tango. We turn cartwheels across the floor. I was feeling kind of seasick. But the crowd called out for more. The room was humming harder as the ceiling flew away. When we called out for another drink, the waiter brought a tray. And so it was that later, as the miller told his tale, that her face at first just ghostly turned to water, shade of pale.
All right, a natural place to stop and just admire the vocalizations and the arrangements up to this point. So Gary Brooker, as I mentioned, he's 61 at the time, and his voice is incredibly powerful, and I would argue it sounds better on this version than the original back in 1967. So that was almost 40 years before this particular performance. So he brings us into the song then, into the first verse. You know, we skip the light fandango, turn some cartwheels across the floor. I was feeling kind of seasick. The crowd called out for more. So lovely lyrics. And in the second verse, they then bring up the string arrangements to, again, embellish what's already being suggested. And this creates an even greater intensity within the song, leading up to the first entry into the to the chorus. And more than anything, it's just the soulfulness, the richness of Gary Brooker's vocals that is transcendent. It's such an aged voice that it just drips of experience and a certain knowingness, a certain understanding that you only get after you've lived a lifetime, really, right? So that comes through, at least for me, in the vocals. And not to mention as well the fact that, when he sings, and so it was later, that was hits the high A note, which I can't do, by the way. I mean, I can get to that A occasionally myself in my regular voice, but there's no way that I could make that note resonate the way that he does. It's just incredible, and such clarity as well, and it just brings you along for this ride. It's remarkable. So yeah, that's the first couple of verses, and then the chorus, and now there's this lovely instrumental, and they introduce at this point then that the organ accompaniment, and by the way, the drums, which are also absolutely spot on, spectacular in this performance. But let's carry on now and just listen.
She said there is no reason, and the truth is plain to see. But I wanted through with my playing cards. Would not let it be. When I 16 vestal virgins who were leaving for the coast. On a long they might just as well been gold. And so it was that later, as the miller told his tale, that her face at first just ghostly turned wild, straight on pale.
Wow. Obviously, what they do there is they bring up the music a little bit, they enhance it, they enrich it with the rest of the rock band, and of course the orchestra at the same time, and then they add in the backing vocals, which are just unbelievably powerful as well, with that verse, one of 16 Vestal Virgins, and the way in which the choir is able to complement what Brooker's singing. It's just unmatched in my view, and it creates another layer to the song, not just an ethereal layer, but a powerful, evocative supplement that lifts the voice, the primary voice, even higher. I mean, Brooker's singing is just, as I say, outstanding. But the way that they've blended in those background vocals, for me, gives the whole song a new meaning, if you will. Okay, so and of course that organ riff, that it's so definitive, it's so distinctive, and it's played beautifully here as well. So the musicianship on this performance is, again, just outstanding all the way around. And those drums, the way they fill, the timing, the precision, but even just, again, the way he does those triplets, the way he rolls the song along, because it has that feeling almost of being out on the sea, almost like a sailor's experience, and the the ocean flowing and so forth. At least that's what I'm thinking as I'm listening to this, and the drums contribute in that regard as well. Okay, so now let's carry on.
And so Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Wow. So again, if you haven't heard that song previously, or even if you have, I'll leave the link in the description below so that you can listen to the entire song, again, unimpeded by my commentary. But you'll notice there too that they went all in at the end of the song as well. They added the horn section to, again, supplement the choir, the strings, the backing vocals, and of course the original the band members performing with Procol Harum. So it's just a lovely, full, rich sound. The mixing's phenomenal, as you would expect in this type of a setting. The musicianship's just sublime. It's everybody does their job, their specific job, in my view, incredibly well, and that's what makes this such a memorable peak performance. Okay, well, this is the first of several of many of these that I hope to do, but this was the one song, and again, you can interpret the song for yourselves and what you like, what you don't like, etc. But for me, as I say, if I had to pick one song, and I could only have one on that desert island, this would be the one. I'd need something that's a little bit longer, and this is, right? It's almost 7 minutes in length. I need the orchestra. I need the rhythms. I need the vocals, the lyrics, and the backing vocals. I need the instrumentation. I need the strings. I need the horns. For me, it has a little bit of everything, but not in an overwhelming sort of way. Each piece, the way this has been constructed, is put together, in my view, to create a masterpiece. So this is peak performance number 1 in my series. And yeah, we'll leave it at that for today. As ever, may you and yours continue to create peace in your lives and nurture love in your hearts. And we'll see you next time.